This book surprised me in the best way possible. I cannot wait. I don't want to wait. We will not wait. Let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chantel and here I talk about all things bookish, and today I am sharing my thoughts on Tayari Jones's Ken. That is her latest book that came out. I am sure that you have seen this book. It is definitely one that has been trending. It's been getting a lot of conversation. And I just want to say, like, off the top, that I actually am not a book reader that follows trends at all. And I know that if I did follow trends more closely, if I did follow, like, the popular books, the books that are all the rage, the new books that are coming out, I probably would be helped a lot by the algorithm, and I probably would have a lot more subscribers and likes and views. But I just am wanting to be me and be my authentic self here, and build authentic community, as slow as that might take. I'm okay with that. And yeah, so I don't follow trends. So I didn't pick up this book because it was a popular book that everyone was talking about. It is an Oprah Book Club choice, and it's getting a lot of attention. I picked up this book because when I'm out in the wild, that's what I call it, in bookstores, and I'm browsing, I like to read the first, like, couple chapters. That's how I usually determine if I'm going to get a book or not. And when I picked this book up, I was really drawn to the cover. I don't know if you all can see that. It's a really nice cover, and I was like, wow, this is really a great cover. And it spoke to me because spring was coming. It's been on and off again. Like, one day, you guys, here, I'm in the DC area. It was literally almost 90 degrees, and the next day it was like 50 and 60. I don't know what's going on, but we won't get into the weather. But I liked the cover, and I was aware of it because how could you not be? But I liked the cover, and I opened it up and I read the first two chapters, and I was like, ooh, I think I'm going to like this one. So I am excited to share kind of my thoughts with you all on what I think about. Do not worry, this is not a spoiler review. I do not want to spoil, because I do want you to go out and get this book and read it or listen to it, however you want to digest it. That is what I want for you. So I'm not going to spoil it along the way, and I'm going to try and keep it short as well for you all. So Ken, it comes to us, and by way of telling a story of two young ladies who are Annie and Vernice, Nisi by way of short, and they are what they describe as cradle sisters. So they were born at the same time. And the thing that they have in common, the most significant thing that they have in common, is not that they're, daughters of the South. They are in Louisiana, but that they are what they call cradle sisters. Both of them have lost their mother in two very different ways, but they are both motherless children. Annie's mother was alive, had her, gave birth, and I think within a month decided this isn't what she wanted to do or could do, be a mother, and so she left, literally left her, and went on and had her life. And she was kind of described as wayward, a party girl, and I don't think it was terribly shocking by people that she left because of the way in which she was living her life. And Vernice had a very different beginning. Her mother actually was killed by her father. And so her leaving was leaving through not her choice. Her leaving was leading through death. But regardless of how they became motherless children, this theme of not being able to be mothered by your biological mother is such a strong theme that runs throughout this novel, and we see it explored in a variety of different ways. The book is written in first person narrative, and it goes back and forth between Annie and Vernice. And I really liked how the book was set up like that, because I felt like I was able to get to know and spend time individually with each one of them. Like, imagine when you're joining a friend group and two people are already friends and you're the third, one coming into that friend group. Oftentimes you spend more time with one friend, so you have maybe a deeper connection with one, or a little bit more knowing with one. That's usually how it's been in my experience. But in reading this book, I felt like I had equal access to both. Neither one of them dominated my attention nor my heart, and I felt like I was able to get to know them both and have really different, separate emotional experiences with both. And I really, really liked that aspect of how Terari chose to tell this story. So, as I said, the story takes place in the South, in Louisiana, in about 1950s era. So we're in Jim Crow South, and I love the fact that history is just woven into the story. It's not pointed at you. It's not trying to be a history lesson, but definitely the events of the day and the time and things that people live through are influence. They embellish the story. And so, as a person who loves history and also who loves historical fiction, although I wouldn't like really put that in this context because it's not being pointed towards to doing that, I really liked experiencing history in the way that she did it, with the light touches and the nods and not pointing it like directly in your face. But this definitely is the era, right? And the terrain that these two young women are walking on or through in their becoming as women in adulthood. And what happens kind of earlier on in the novel is that these two friends, that they go on different pathways. And while they're on their different pathways, they keep in contact through letter writing, which is also something that I love. I am a fan for letters in novels. I just love it. I think it adds a different texture, a different level of intimacy, just something a little different. And maybe because we don't get a lot of handwritten letters anymore, so it's kind of nostalgic. I was that girl that would like love to get mail when I was younger. So I really like the use of letters as their way of keeping in contact with one another. But I also loved the constraints that existed within the letter format back in the time. I mean, they did not have email and smartphones and texting and all these ways. And so, and also the cost of paper and envelope and stamp were real costs, right? So there has to be a level of discipline and decisiveness and discernment as to like what to put in the letter. You only have so much space, and it takes a while to get there. It takes a while to respond, and in between those two things a lot of life is lived. So like I really want to just go back and sit with the letters to look at it in that way of like what was shared, how was it shared, how did they make good use of the space of the letter. That's a whole other thing. I can go down a rabbit hole, and I'm not going to do that because we're going to press on. So even though these two girls are united by being motherless children, and even though they are both from the same place, they are very different women. They are very different women, and they go on very different paths, and they want different things. But one of the things that they do have in common is that they both have these idealistic versions of their mother in their head. And for Annie, whose mother left her, she's on a pedestal, just as kind of Vernice's mother is put on this pedestal as well. And I think that one of the things that the novel explores in the question of kinship and family is like, what is the stuff that family is made of, and who really is family, and how do you make family? So these women, although they were motherless, they were not motherless. They were geared and raised by women who sacrificed and stepped in their life and who took up the charge of raising them. For Annie, that was her grandmother, and for Vernice, that was her aunt Irene, who literally moved back to this small town that they live in to do something that she never thought that she could do, or never wanted to do, or didn't feel equipped to do, which is to raise a child. And I think I like seeing these women, these other women step into mother, because it's so prevalent within, I think, definitely, I think the Black culture, but probably minority cultures as well. I don't know. I have lots of stories about, this person stepping in and raising a child that's not theirs because out of necessity for one reason or another. But I love the fact that we see reality with the rearing and reality with the burden of having to do that. and it's not written in a glorified, like glamorous way. So I really like the texture of these women, of the grandmother and the auntie. I like the things that they were struggling with personally to be able to fill in the gap. And I also like the fact that even though they did step in, that they were not able to be replacements of the mother, that there was still this drive of knowing their mother and of wanting that biological motherly love that was there. So they go on this journey through life. I'm not going to give those details away. And I didn't give anything away by telling you that they are motherless and how they are motherless, because you learn that right off at the top. But I think that this novel really does a good job exploring significant questions that are good to sit with. And that my experience reading Ken was also as surprising as my enjoyment. I read it super fast. I was reading, I'm reading about like, I read about 5 books at a time. And I try to, like, spend equal time. I give all my books love. But when I started Ken, the other books were neglected for sure because it's all I wanted to read. And that is a testament. I ended up finishing the book maybe in about 4 days. And when I finished it, I usually am able to kind of write quickly after or share my thoughts quickly. And I was like, I need to sit with this. I need to sit with it. I needed to sort out my feelings. And I also experienced missing the characters. I miss being a part of their life and a part of what was going on. And it's been a while since I truly have missed being on a journey with characters. And I think that's one reason why I hold this novel so dear, is how it made me feel after I finished reading it, and the desire that I have for more. I was satisfied with the ending. It wasn't a book where I finished it and I was like, oh, let me rewrite the ending, because I was frustrated. And oftentimes that happens. And sometimes, y'all, I literally will take pen in hand and rewrite an ending just for my own, like, just, you know. But this one, I was able to accept how it ended. It felt in line and in place and authentic. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel contrived at all. I really appreciated that. I just missed being in space with these women. Um, Along the way, you meet, along their journey, Annie and Vernice's, you get to meet incredible characters. Another thing that's really rich about this book, the side characters are dynamic. They are people that I know. They are so real and they're so well written. She has an amazing ability to write conversation and to craft character and to world build. And so you get a really complete offering in the story of Ken that she gives you, and a complete world. It's so layered, it's so textured, it's so rich, and it is so honest. It's so human. I think that's the word that I ascribe to it. It is a very human story, and all that gray mattered space that exists within us humans. So I read it quickly. I devoured it. I think you will too. So just prepare yourself for that, to be engrossed, to stay up late, to wake up early, to put other books down, to read this book. Yeah, I do have questions that I think that it brings up. I'm going to refer to my book notes here so that I can share the questions and what I'm still grappling with, questions that I think that it raises. So many questions, you guys, but I'm going to share, I think, about 4 questions that I am really appreciating that the novel raises in a different way, maybe, than that other works have raised. And so the first one is, how does the legacy of enslavement reshape the very definition of family and kinship? And I think that this is such an important one. We see it. We know it. For people who are Black Americans, we live it right within our family history. But I don't know how often we talk about it. I don't know how often there's real conversations and dialogues within homes and within our community that really has pointed conversation around this topic. And so I think that Ken and this story is a really great entry point and an entryway to that conversation. So I am not in a book club, with Ken. I will bring up something at the end of this video, but I'm not currently in conversation about Ken with anyone, but in a dialogue format. But there is like something that is something that I would want to discuss. Another thing, hi, I have my little buddy here, and so he's not wanting me to do anything but hold him right now. So say hi, Kai. Can you say hi to? Oh, okay. That's all you can give. It's all he can give right now. He went out for a long walk and he's exhausted. Um, the other question that I've been thinking about is how silence in storytelling function differently as a response to generational trauma. So I did a video. I will try to link it in the show notes below or leave it up here if I can ever figure that out. But I did a video series about generational trauma in Black literature. And because it's something that I've been sitting with as I was, in the works of reading Octavia Butler and Toni Morrison and other writers. And so this aspect of generational trauma is very much there, and I have been really interested in how that shows up in silence and in storytelling. And so oftentimes I don't think about silence in storytelling because storytelling is such an active, vocal voice thing. But this novel actually made me look at that question a little bit differently and wants me to sit with it a little bit differently by paying attention to the silence within the storytelling. The third question that I'm still thinking about that it raised is the cost of leaving the place and people that made you. And so I really am focusing on the part that made you. Um, because we are made in different ways. We are made biologically, physically. We are made by the things of our formation, right? Our values, our characters, and the things that shape us in those ways. And we are made by place. We are made by rules, like the policies and the politics of the place in which we are from. And all of those things shape us and make us. And so, and all of those things, both the good and the yuck of it, are familiar, right? They're known, and they're these familiar things that we know how to navigate around. And so I'm curious about, like, what is the cost of leaving the place and the people that make you, and the good and bad ways. And this book really does explore kind of that question. I'm trying to hurry up, Kai. I'm trying. Mommy's trying. I'm trying. Hang on in there. Lastly, and this one is one that, people may not get, but someone asked me, like, how is the book? And I said, this is a fun time book. And they were like, you thought it was a fun time book because it's heavy in the subject matter and it's a hard book at times. And I'm like, yeah, it is all of that. So when I say it's a fun time book, I had to think about, like, how to express that in a way that maybe made more sense. And I think the question around that was, like, the role joy plays in survival. It's fun. It was a fun book to read for me as an experience because that aspect that you hear about, like Black joy, and joy and resilience, is experienced in this book. It is in this book. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. So I was, Tarari does an excellent job with balancing, or kind of maybe not even balancing, but weaving in the light with the heavy. And I think that that's something culturally that we know how to do and that we've had to do, right? And I think that this book exemplifies this is what it looks like to have the light and the heavy, to have the joy that is not super, like superficial, but joy that is essential to survival. And I really did appreciate that. So, okay, this is going on. This has been a little longer than I wanted it to be for you guys, but thanks for hanging out and listening to it. I did say I'm not in conversation, and that is not true because I am in conversation with this book. There's an invitation on Substack with a Substacker book talk with Lauren, who has a Substack book club with Lauren. I will leave it in the show notes below. If you've read this, this is a really easy way to have conversation about this book, as her book club is through the chat. So there's questions and you can respond to it in the chat. I really need to talk about this book, you guys, because I'm still thinking about it. I think I just miss it. So if you are watching this, and it's anywhere, within the month of May, I'm actually trying to pull together some people that have also read it in a very informal way and set up a time where we can just jump on a call, meet each other, and talk about Ken. So if that's something that you're interested in the comment section below, let me know that you're interested, and I will figure out how to, get in contact with you personally. I will DM you my email address, as I'll try to set up some time with some other folks. If you know someone that's read Ken, please pass along the opportunity for them as well. In addition to that, I am going to leave in the show notes below a letter that I wrote to Annie and Vernice. So sometimes when I read a book and I'm really compelled by the characters, I'm still wrestling in a way, or in this case, missing, I will write a letter to them in a series that I have, Letters to Literature. I don't do this for all books, but when I feel the need to write, I do write. So as I said before, I love the fact that letters were in this book, and it just felt appropriate for me to commune with these characters in a letter way. So I will also leave my letter to them in the show notes below if you want to check that out as well. And if you want to just have further conversation with me in my Substack space, I will leave that also in the show notes below. I think that is it. I think I've said all the things that I can say without spoiling anything for you. I so tried to restrain myself, so I hope that I did a good job with that. You all can let me know. Next time, I think that I will be talking about a book that I'm finishing up today. It's called Dread Nation by, her last name is Ireland. I'm reading that for a book club. And I'm also finishing up Theo of Golden as well. So those two books, be on the lookout for book reviews. Let me know if you've read any of those books as well. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and how you like them. Okay, you guys, until next time, be good to yourself. Stay kind. Treat yourself to something wonderful. Visit an independent bookstore and stay safe. Bye.